Wonderful. So just to give you a little bit of background, like I said, my name is Grace. I work here with CBS 21 News. I'm one of our digital reporters, so I've done some stories in our past with the Lancaster County Amish community specifically, which is part of what piqued our interest so much. I mean, besides it being a very fun show to watch,
Thanks.
being in Lancaster. So I know that you had an interest in the Amish, before even getting on this show. Are you able to give me a little bit of background, like what prompted that interest for you?
Sure. Years ago, I would go to the farmer's market with my mom, and I had probably just saw a few Amish in the market and was kind of intrigued by their dress. Um, and they were very sweet. It was a family, actually, it was a mom and a daughter, and we ended up speaking to them and kind of getting to know them. And I thought, what a lovely family. And I grew up in a home that did attend Baptist church, but it was a broken home, like many homes are. So I guess it was very interesting to see they had such a large family. So I was kind of intrigued and started to learn what I could about the Amish. And the more I learned, I mean, this was years ago, maybe 15 plus years ago, the more I learned, the more interested I was. And not only in their strong, religious beliefs, but also their dressing modestly, their community. I just had so much respect for the culture. And I started reading a lot of Amish authors. And the more I learned, the more I really thought this may be the right lifestyle for me. This may be what I've been looking for. There's a lot of chaos in the world these days, and it was a peaceful lifestyle that I think I just was super curious to see if that was something that I could be a part of. And I remember for my birthday wanting to go on like a buggy ride. So not many people for their 30th birthday want to spend it at an Amish market on a buggy ride, but the ride was closed. I guess they had stopped doing that at the market that I would go to on Saturdays. So I was a little discouraged by that, but I went to a Whole Food store in the Amish community there, and kind of spoke with the gentleman there about how, I really wanted to ride a buggy for the first time for my birthday. And he said, you know what, let me make a call. It was a Mennonite man that owned the Whole Food store. He made a call, and he had his daughter, I think it was both of his daughters, actually come down, and they took my friend and I on a buggy ride. And they wouldn't accept money. They literally just did that for me because it was something that I wanted. And I just had so much love and admiration for the Amish community. So I eventually tried to move closer to one, and I've been here for about 5 years. And I've made friends with a lot of the Amish in my community. So it started with just a natural interest, and then it led to me, I wouldn't say fascinated, but just really interested. And then the more I learned, the more I realized that that was something that I wanted to live or was going to attempt to live for sure.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And when you say that you've been here for about 5 years, do you mean New York?
In New
Is that
York,
correct? Okay,
correct.
okay. And
Upstate New
then
York.
upstate New York. Perfect. I was just about to ask. And you were working as a barista before the show, is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
And so how did you hear about the show opportunity and where did you learn to apply?
So in the social media world, I have followed many um, Amish websites, pages, etc., for recipes, just sometimes just for scriptures, biblical advice that a lot of Amish that are on social media that they will show or post. And one of the Amish lifestyle pages that I followed had said, "Hey, have you ever been interested in living Amish or learning more about the Amish community?" And I was like, yes, please. So it started there. I just sent a message and received a response, and it kind of went from there.
No, that's crazy. I can't imagine. What a perfect kind of opportunity, right? It
Yeah.
aligns
Yeah,
exactly
you
with what
get
you're
it.
saying. Yeah.
I was like, is this, I mean, a dream come true is literally what I felt for me is it was a calling, not I think I really just needed it, I think God works in mysterious ways, and it was just a moment where I'm like, wow, this is, could I possibly be able to have this opportunity? And I was blessed with that chance. So I'm really grateful for that for sure.
Have you ever been in Lancaster before all of this? Or in, I don't know what your experiences are with Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So for my 40th birthday, one of my best friends, that was what I wanted for my 40th, was to kind of go to Lancaster because of the well-known Amish community. So for my 40th, that's what we did. We spent a weekend at a hotel. It was more like an Airbnb, but we spent the weekend there and did many things that I had wanted to do. We went to the Roots. We did I wanted to be at an Amish auction, so that was really cool. I wasn't quite sure what I was buying, but I knew I wasn't leaving without purchasing something at that auction. And I purchased what I thought was just some bags of pretzels. I didn't realize, because of how quickly the auctioneer speaks, that I was buying myself cases of pretzels. But I didn't care. It was all for the experience. So I came home to my community and gave them to the Amish families that live near me. But yeah, so I was only in Lancaster once before I was able to live there. So loved it then and loved it even more after I was given the opportunity to live there. Beautiful.
Oh my gosh, absolutely gorgeous. Especially, I mean, I live nearby, so I've been there how many times, but especially the drone shots and everything in the show. Oh my gosh, it's crazy how it recontextualizes it a little bit for you. So, I know it was a long experience, so I'm sure it's kind of hard to ask you to summarize a lot of things, but I don't know if you're able to think back to kind of like just the first day or the first few days, like how were you feeling initially? And if, was it what you were expecting or did your perceptions change at all?
So I didn't really know what to expect. I knew what visiting the Amish in my area was like, and I actually told them that this is something that I was going to do. A lot of my friends that are Amish here, and they were all really rooting for me. I guess I think I went so blindly into the experience, but also I just had a open heart and trusted God that I was placed there for a reason. Um, and I will say I was really intimidated. Um, Everyone that was there was gorgeous and incredible people, all from different walks of life. So I thought, okay, this is going to be powerful, just kind of watching everyone else's journey and seeing how everyone adapts to what we were experiencing. I think that I may have looked like I knew a little bit more about the Amish, and maybe I did a little more about the Amish community, but there was certainly many surprises that you see throughout the show. So, I mean, and many things that were so much more beautiful that I didn't realize, the love and the community. And all of us, after living together, we all considered each other family, and it will always be that way. So I think I was surprised by how strong the community was. We kind of built our own community on the farm, and we had good times and bad times, as you see, but all in all, it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. So I've always thought of the Amish as being extremely hardworking. So I knew that I was going to be put to work, but I was up for it. If God put me in that position, He put me in there for a reason. So I was going to live it to the fullest for sure.
No, that's great. And speaking about the hard work part of it, I mean, for sure, I think that definitely came across in the show, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know if you're able to give some insight into like, was it you were waking up at 4 a.m. every day, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
Most, yeah. So most days we were up extremely early. Thankfully, Sundays were a day to rest and pray. And those days were, I felt like Sunday came and it was like a reset, a much needed reset. Um, but I will say that keeping busy every day was good. It was good for us physically. I also think it was good for us mentally. And we all, we struggled together. So it's like if we're out in the sun, shucking corn and feeding the animals, like it's also a time for us to bond, and those moments, you don't really get those moments in the outside world. So spending time with, at that point, it was our family on the farm. That was, I mean, you really, those moments we all appreciated so much. So, yeah, it was hard work, but I think we bonded through that. And those were things that were important. That's what the Amish do. So, if we were going to do that, I mean, sure, we complained like, oh, we're so hot and so tired, but at the same time, we learn to give ourselves grace and to be patient and have a lot more respect for each other and also the community, the people that put in work every day. So it's not, just the Amish. It was for us, each other. We were trying to be Amish. However, we were doing as the Amish do and they work hard. So yeah, it was definitely a lot of hard days, but well worth it for sure.
Sure, thank you. And I mean, obviously we saw a little bit of this on the show, but if you could describe a little bit more too about like what that day-to-day work looked like. Was it just mostly cooking, cleaning, you know what I mean?
Sure. So
Like
it
all the things.
depends.
Yeah.
It depends on the day. If we obviously even the men had different roles than us women. So yes, it was getting up and feeding the animals. The chores needed to be done. So one of us, Esmeralda or myself, or Kendra when she was there, we were kind of following Sarah as telling us, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. So prayer was very big. That was also something that we did a few times a day. But yeah, we'd have to wake up, prepare food for the men, and it would be breakfast, it would be lunch, we'd be figuring out what's for dinner. Feeding the animals, shucking corn, doing laundry. Something had to be done pretty much every day because there was 9 of us in the house. So that was it. It did become a little monotonous. Some of us worked in the community, but I really don't mind cooking and cleaning. And I was able to learn from Sarah. So for me, it was like, oh my gosh, I get to live with an Amish woman who's going to show me how to make noodles and show me how she cooks. And also, I was surprised, like we don't waste anything. So if there was leftover food, that's going to the chickens, that's going to the pigs. So I mean, it's just a conservative, but more of a meaningful lifestyle, in my opinion. Yeah. So day to day was work, but also laughter. Once the lights went down and the lanterns were lit, we had the best times, a lot of games, a lot of just sitting around a fire, hanging out, and getting to know each other's stories and just incredible moments for sure. And obviously, set in Lancaster background, just living in that. I mean, it was gorgeous. The farm, gorgeous. The cornfields, it was just epic. It was beautiful. So we were able to take that in while we were in the cornfields. So we can't take that for granted either. God's beauty and what we were living was, we were all very, very happy about that. Even like the city girls were like, so, like, this is so beautiful when the sun would go down. Yes, there was flies and the heat was hard, but the beauty overtook everything. It was gorgeous.
That makes a lot of sense. And I know I was going to say, I'm sure I was going to ask you, what both the hardest part and the most rewarding part was, but I have a guess. Maybe the heat would have been your answer, but just based on what we saw on the show, but perhaps
That's a
you.
great guess. Yeah, the heat. I I think that I took for granted the little things like, air conditioned homes and being in a car air conditioned. I mean, even in the buggies, like they're, it's still hot, and now you're going to smell the horse. And even though you're going pretty fast, the breeze is not doing anything for you. So the heat was by far the hardest part for me. And I'm sure will be in my future because I really do want to stray away from like air conditioning and like modern conveniences like that. But the best part is the love, the connection, the relationships, the more knowledge I was able to gain from living with Amish. So I wouldn't trade it for the world. Maybe I'd choose a different season, but it's not about that. It was just what was the opportunity that was given to me was something I would never pass up. And I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that, as hard as those things are to overcome, like what I, know and then learn from the show and also kind of hear you saying is that the most important part perhaps of, being Amish is that relationship with God. And I know you said that you had been raised in a Baptist church, but was that new for you in this sense? Or, what was it like to get adjusted to their church and their, I guess, way of religion?
So when I grew up going to our Baptist church, it was Sunday services. Wednesday nights, we would have youth classes. I would even go to Baptist camps growing up. So I loved being in church. It was very different. The Amish church is much more intimate, I think. Um, I wish that I knew German, so that I could understand more. We were fortunate to have someone that did understand German. So, Emma did try to tell us what was being said, but obviously you don't want to be discussing things in the church. You don't want people looking at you. They, so we, if I had one thing, I need to learn Dutch. I need to learn German, but the experience itself, it's much more intimate. The setting is in a home, barn, typically, men on one side, women on the other. And it is a lot of prayer, it's a lot of singing, and it is in German, so it's harder for me to understand. However, spiritually, I think it's more intimate than the church services now that I go to. It's much more, I want to say, I'd say intimate. It's the setting is obviously on someone's property, but also you're spending hours next to people, and then you sit and you can have lunch next to them. It's an entire day. Um, and it's not just a couple hours. It's a day of praying and singing, and it's beautiful. I think it's much more intimate now. I think church and most services are kind of, you listen to the sermon, you pray, sing, and then you go about your business. And if people are lucky, they have family to spend the afternoon with. So I would say the church was probably the most emotional time for all of us. We all spiritually felt, wow, that was incredible. I mean, I think just speaking to everyone about it as we were leaving is, wow, that was pretty incredible. Spiritually, even though we really didn't understand everything that was being said, we were all so moved by the whole experience.
Sure, no, that makes sense. And then is there anybody, well, let me not jump ahead actually. I was going to ask if there's anybody that you're still keeping in contact with, but I feel like that's jumping the gun a little bit because we haven't even discussed, your ultimate choice, and why it is that you chose to stay. And I'm sure that we touched on it a little bit, but if you're able to talk a little bit about what that decision was like and what was going through your head, and kind of where you are now.
So I was very grateful that Bishop Vernon had said, thank you for attempting this journey. And if this is really the journey for you, I want you to take the time to think about it. Because in the moment when we're standing before the congregation, we are definitely, so many things are going through our heads. I know for me, I was like, BJ, are you really going to say no to air conditioning forever? What does this look like for you? What about my mom? Am I going to be able to see my mom, my brother, my niece? Am I going to be able to stay in their lives? What does this look like? I don't want to make a decision for just myself and not think of my family. So I really struggled with that. It wasn't just the heat, it was also the relationship that I have with my mom. We are so close. She's my best friend. And I really struggled with not being able to talk to her until, the phone shanty was built. So I thought, I don't know if I can just be away from her that long. The modern conveniences now with picking up the phone and just saying, hello, I miss you, or telling her about my day, those things changed and our dynamic, I was worried would change, but it didn't. I think that it just made our time together better. So after thinking it through, I thought, I have to do this. This is something that I want, and my mom will support me in my journey. And it's just going to strengthen our relationship. It'll just change the relationship a little bit as as far as how we communicate. But I think that the time that we spend together will be much more meaningful now. So that was a big part in me deciding whether I did want to stay.
Sure. And so, now that you've said yes, and obviously I understand that, he advised taking the time, Bishop Vernon. Have you come to any, I don't know, specific decision, or are you still just kind of feeling it out? I guess where are you located is another question. Like, are you still in the Lancaster area, or did you go back to New York?
So I have things that obviously, when I joined the group and decided to go on the journey, I still had things at home that had to be taken care of. So after leaving, I had to come back home to New York, where I am living in an Amish community, and just try to integrate back into the English world, but bringing all my Amish with me, and continuing my discipleship, trying to figure out if there's an opportunity for me to join the community here. I obviously am so close with Judah. Judah is my world. So I have to remain positive for him because we really miss each other dearly. So we're just trying to figure out like where, we've kind of talked about moving together somewhere near an Amish community. We really want to find a community that is welcoming to both of us. And I'm not sure if that's back in Lancaster or if that's here in New York or where that'll be. So we're just gonna keep going, keep praying about it. And I, all I can do is hope that I find a community that's welcoming to me. Eventually, I think that I will. But for now, I'm just on that journey, continuing the journey, trying to tie up some of the loose ends here at home.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I had thought about that too when writing the question. I'm like, well, surely you weren't ready to literally sell your apartment or do whatever. You know what I mean? Like ahead of this. Like, yeah.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, I was raised in the English world where, we have bills and we have leases and, careers, jobs. So I kind of put everything on hold so that I could see where this journey took me. And it's taking me to a spiritual path that I know that I'm on the right journey for myself. And now it's just, okay, where does this journey take me? And the English world is fine for me to visit, but ultimately this isn't what I want for myself. So I have to figure out where my next place to land is, basically.
Sure. No, I hear you. And I'm so happy that you mentioned your relationship with Judah, because I think that was evident that you guys seem to really get along and, kind of click as friends. But you still do keep in contact, it sounds like. Or I don't know if you're able to
Yeah.
describe just your experience with that friendship, or your relationships with the other English people as well.
Yeah, I think, well, we all talk as frequently as we can. Everyone kind of has different paths and, they're busy with their day to day. Um, I think Judah and I, we did become so close and we became like family. So we, Esmeralda and myself too, we're also very, very close. So I speak to them every day. Judah, I speak to several times a day. Anything he has questions about, I don't know why, he comes to me. But I go to him too, like, what do you think of this? And I was looking up this place. I mean, we've kind of talked about finding a place together, and some of the different places we'd be interested in living. So we both have chosen to continue to dress Amish. So that's something that he and I kind of bond over. We're just more comfortable. It's easier for us because I think that we really truly felt like God called us to do this. So Judah is such a spiritual person and he's so incredibly smart for someone his age. It's insane to me. I'm always learning from him, but yeah, so I ask him his opinion. He asks me for, mine. And I have a great relationship with his mother too. And he has a great relationship with my mom now. So we've kind of expanded our family more, between the two of us. We've brought our families into our friendship and we're all like family now. So that's probably the biggest takeaway that I had was finding Judah and having a, platonic soulmate forever.
I love that. I know that the Zoom meeting says we have only about 6 minutes left here, but I would be remiss if I did not ask you about the Amish dating experience and the blind date that you went on.
Yes.
I don't know if you
Well, it
can,
was
yeah.
it was definitely an experience. Jacob, lovely. And I certainly did not expect Jacob to come as he did. Um, when I saw the haircut, I was like smitten from the jump because he wore blue, which is my favorite color, and I love the Amish bowl cut. So I was just like, oh my goodness. And then finding out so much more about him in the time that we spent together, I'm like, wow, there's so much more. There's a lot more depth to Jacob than I had thought. So I was super excited about it. As far as our energy, I'm very talkative. That's probably to a fault. So I'm not sure if he and I, we're obviously in different states, and as far as talking, he is Amish. He does use a shanty, so we haven't been able to kind of keep up, but it was great meeting him. He's a great guy. He was a lot of fun. So I didn't expect that for sure. I didn't expect to be able to find an Amish man, let alone find an Amish man with, so many layers to him. That was pretty interesting for sure.
No, it was great to watch because I think the way it was edited too, it was like, oh yeah, we set Billie Jo up on a blind date and then it cuts immediately to it kind of thing. It was just funny.
Yeah,
Have
it
you
was a
gotten
lot of fun.
yeah, excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
no, it was a lot of fun, and I
Yeah.
did not expect that at all. And then after watching it, I'm like, did I, should I have not done that? That wasn't very Amish like of me to, but then again, I was just in the moment, like, okay, there's an Amish man. I'm on a date. What do the Amish girls do on dates? That was a first for me. So, but it was fun and it was a great experience. So I think Jacob had a great time too. So that's what's really important.
I was gonna ask you too. It sounds like you have, but have you gotten a chance to watch the show back?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Do you have any thoughts after the fact? Like, is there anything that we didn't get to see that you felt was super important or anything like that?
I think not really that you didn't get to see that was super important, but more of like I I'm like, Billie Joe, you needed to have been a little bit nicer to people. I don't know if the heat was getting to me. But I was like, hello, that was a little snappy. And some of the faces that I made, I'm like, watch your face, girl. My face was like super explicit. Like I was really telling people my thoughts with my facial expressions, and I needed to work on that. So watching it back, I'm like, oh, work on your face, maybe smile, show some more grace in your everyday because I'm a nice person. So it's important to me that people see that. So I learned a lot about myself watching it back.
No, that makes sense. I mean, if it helps you at all, I would not have ever have gotten a perception of you that you were anything but nice and sweet sharing.
Oh,
So
it does
I
help.
wouldn't
Thank you.
worry too much about that. Yeah,
That
yeah.
does help me. Thank you.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, I mean, I know there's only 2 minutes left, so I don't want to ask you anything, start a new conversation. Is there anything else that you wanted to say or that I didn't ask, or just that you want people to know?
Well, I think for me, it's really important that people know the Amish that stepped outside of their comfort zone and were able to kind of show us the Amish life. I just give them so much more credit than they're getting. They really, from what I see, I try not to, feed into the comments and things like that, but these are beautiful Amish people that said, we're going to show our faith and we're going to show others our faith. And this is how we're going to do it. And we learned so much from Vernon, from Sarah, from Alan. We learned so much from them. And that is something that we can never ever show appreciation for. I mean, them taking their time away from their family to help us and guide us in this process. I'll forever be grateful for that, for them. So as much as I, will reach out to Sarah and Alan and ask for advice about sourdough or things of that, they're very busy. They obviously have their farm that they work on. So I wish that I was able to thank them every single day. This journey, it went so fast, believe it or not. So I think, I love Sarah and Alan so much. I wish that I was more grateful every day to them. And with Alan's dad jokes and Sarah's quiet humor, I mean, they're just such great people. So I wish that we were able to see more of that. So. But yeah,
Well,
they're pretty
thank you.
amazing.
Yes. Billy Joe, thank you so, so much. It has
Oh,
been
thank you.
amazing to talk to you,
Thank you.
and to get to know you and just to hear about your experience.